Welcome to the Postgame podcast. Jerry is still out. He's in Seattle. I've got the Eddie Scozzare with me. Good morning, Eddie,
Hello, podcast people and YouTube person.
the YouTube person. So yesterday I teased that I wanted to talk to you about the Vatican
Hmm.
in Rome. And there are rumors that the Vatican holds all of these sort of mystical religious objects.
Hmm.
And I was wondering if you had heard about that and if you think that's true.
I knew there were rumors about works of art that they got from the Nazis, and I think some of that has been confirmed, like stolen uh, art from World War II that the Nazis had collected, and there was some. There are some theories that the Vatican was instrumental in helping some of the Nazi uh, people of power go escape to Argentina after the war, and that perhaps that loot, if you will, was part of the deal. And there were some, I think, lawsuits brought by Holocaust victims for stolen art and stolen money and all that stuff.
So this is an area though of the Vatican that I can't when I visit Rome, I can't just go and try to look at all these items, right?
No, that's like in like secret underground chambers and all that stuff. And it's a sovereign nation, very
What does
small.
that mean?
It's its own country within
The
Rome.
Vatican?
Yes.
They have their own rules.
Yeah, well, it's like its own sovereign little state. I mean, it's very small, obviously. You were at the Vatican
I
when you
was at the
went?
Vatican,
Yes.
yeah.
So you know how big it is, which
Yeah.
is not very, in terms, it's just one little section of the city of Rome, but it's its own independent country.
Yeah, now, yesterday we were, briefly talking about this, you mentioned the Ark of the Covenant,
Hmm.
which I've seen, a bunch of different, little mini documentary type things on where they're
Hmm.
like episodes of shows like Unexplained by, William Shatner and other things like that. It comes up on Ancient Aliens a lot.
Hmm.
So the Ark of the Covenant was supposedly the thing that the 10 Commandments were stored in,
Yes.
and then that thing just disappeared.
Well, it was destroyed in the diaspora, which was in AD 70 when the temple was destroyed,
Oh,
I believe.
they think the whole thing got destroyed, the
Yes,
Ark of
but
the
then of
Covenant.
course there's rumors about, you remember the whole premise of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I do not.
Okay, you remember seeing that as a
I
kid?
definitely saw it.
Well, that was the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, it was?
Yes, that was the Ark. And
Really?
yes,
Raiders of the Lost Ark is Ark of the Covenant?
yes. Mhm.
Man, I never knew that.
Mhm. Yes, and it had, because the Israelites would take it before them as they sort of marched into battle, and it supposedly had mystical powers that would vanquish their enemies, um, like it did at the end of the movie before it was squirreled away in the Pentagon. That, remember when they opened it, it kind of melted all the Nazi faces off, if you
Yeah, I
remember.
don't remember any of this. I've
Yes.
not seen Raiders of the Lost Ark probably since I saw it on when it came out on VHS.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're I mean, it holds up pretty
Yeah.
well, I think, and it's worth a watch, you and Gina. I mean,
Yeah.
she would like it,
Oh, she would love
and
it.
you might enjoy some of the mysticism that is, surrounding the Ark because of, your interest in these things.
Yeah, they think, so some people think it's at the Vatican.
Mhm,
Some people think it's in a place in Turkey.
mhm,
Somebody think it's at a place in Ethiopia.
mhm,
Some people think there's a pyramid that it fits perfectly in,
mhm.
but no one knows where this is. And supposedly, through some of these shows I've watched, that the people who have moved the covenant around, they get radiation illness and die.
Right, well, that would go along with the movie because it was so powerful. These beams of energy
Yeah.
shot out of it and sort of, again, melted people.
So, I know you don't believe in, you're not a religious person.
Correct.
Do you think Jesus as a human being existed? Was
Yes.
there a person that was
Yes.
Jesus?
Yes, I do.
What do you make of the Shroud of Turin, which is supposedly a sheet that laid over Jesus and then it has his imprint to this day?
I believe there was a section of it because they wanted to do carbon-14 dating. You familiar? Yeah.
Yes.
But that involves burning to get the materials that they need to test for that. And I think over time as the science progressed, I believe this is true. I'm not 100% true. I believe they were able to test a small portion of it, and it dated from like 1200 or 1300, so not back to biblical times.
Yeah, and I always thought it was just the Jesus face, but it's actually the whole body.
Right, it's sort of a negative image, if you will.
Yeah, and this was supposedly was this after Jesus was on the cross?
Yes, they
And
wrapped
then
him
and
like
then they put
this,
him.
as was the custom, probably for hundreds of years before, or maybe even 1,000 years before Christ, and for 1,000 years after. That was just what was done. You wrapped them because there was no embalming. Well, I mean, there was a type of embalming, I guess, with the Egyptians and mummification and all that stuff. But most people, commoners, just got wrapped and buried.
So, but then how did they get like if let's say Jesus was wrapped in this
Hmm.
and then they bury him, where did the shroud come from then? Like if it
Well, because he rose from the dead.
and he tossed his
Eh,
shroud
Right,
aside.
exactly.
Oh,
Didn't
okay.
didn't need it anymore.
And then they so people believe that that's
Yeah, correct.
yeah,
But it was probably just pilfered from some random grave, and they were like, "Hey, this kinda looks like the historical depiction of Jesus in artwork." They didn't
yeah.
say that, of course, and let's see if we can, get some money out of this.
Mm,
That would be my interpretation as a cynic.
yeah. I saw another one of these, unexplained episodes. It had, the shroud was in one of them. The Ark
Mhm.
of the Covenant was one, and then they had this spearhead from when they poked Jesus with it when he was on the
Yes, the
cross.
spear of destiny.
Yeah, and
Right.
they had a picture of it on this show.
Mhm.
Like, it
Oh,
looked
oh, yeah, it's a spear. I'm sure it's a
by the
spearhead.
way, it didn't look that old. Like, I was
Yes.
expecting it to look much
Mhm.
older,
Well,
but
depending
it's
on what it was made out of, how it was tempered, and how it was
yeah.
stored and protected from the elements.
Yeah, but it's
If it's
supposedly right, it was the sword that it was the spearhead that punctured Jesus
Yes.
because I guess he wasn't dying fast enough on the cross.
Well, it was to see if he was actually dead,
Oh, okay.
and then it was Longinus was the guy's name. Was this well in the mythos?
He did the poking?
That was uh he was the centurion who pierced his side, and then after I think, like, the quote was like, he truly was the son of God, and he became a devout follower of Christ after that. But this is all just sort of the mythology that's grown up around the spear.
Yeah.
But Longinus was his name.
And then does the Vatican also have what they call relics?
Hmm. Other
Which
things, just like a piece of the cross would be a holy relic, like, from the actual cross that Jesus was crucified on, or like the Shroud of Turin itself would be a relic.
now I
But
had heard growing up that every altar in
mhm.
every Catholic church had something in the altar that was a piece of some sort of relic.
Right, or like a piece of the robe of a saint, someone
Yeah.
who has been
Yeah,
canonized. Yeah,
something.
right.
You think that still is a thing?
I'm not
A lot of
sure. I
churches.
do. Yes, that's true. Right, you kind of get down the list.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
What am I getting in my altar here?
yeah, he was a kind of a good guy. Not he might be
Yeah.
canonized. He's kind of like Eli. Maybe he'll get in someday.
Right, we're not
So
sure.
yeah, but yeah, that was. I remember that. Now that you say it, that kind of brings me back to
Yeah.
my 18 years of, or not 18, 12 years of Catholic schooling. Um, so yeah, I do remember that there is some sort of a holy relic in each altar.
Then I how about this one? I need to reach out to this family member and try to remember what this was. So we have a a priest who's a family friend.
Hmm.
He's done all the weddings, all the baptisms. Longtime friend of the family, priest. And I get to ask him about ghosts and all that. He'll humor me with all these things.
Hmm.
So one of my family members had cancer,
Hmm.
and I'm recalling now that he somehow got a relic to then, um, I guess the cancer patient spend time with this relic
Mhm.
as a healing type of thing. What could that have been?
Well, it could have been anything from, one of these, altars of, one of the churches that he frequented. Again, it could have been, here is the cup that this saint was, who was somebody who was later canonized, or somebody who was martyred and then canonized, that something of theirs, like a cup or a garment or what have you. It could be any number of things, anything that was associated with a saint or Christ himself, or the spear of destiny, like you say, Ark of the Covenant,
Yeah.
the actual, piece of the 10 commandment tablets that was written by the hand of
Yeah, where are
God.
those? Where are the Ten Commandment tablets? That
Um,
would be cool to get.
yeah, they're probably dust, but, I would imagine, like, I I'm sure there were some tablets that were carved by, the Jewish priests and put in the Ark of the Covenant. Me, myself, I don't believe they were actually written by the hand of God. How long has it been since you've seen the Ten Commandments?
Been a while.
Okay. But I don't know if you remember the scene where,
Oh, the
uh
movie itself? Yeah, I never saw that.
oh, okay.
I thought you meant like that I'm aware of what the Ten Commandments
Yes.
are.
No, but well, when Charlton Heston as Moses goes and God writes, and with this big lightning, carves, and you hear the voice of God, and he's speaking the commandments as they're being carved in the stone. And then Moses goes down and sees them. This is when the whole story about them worshiping, because they were like, "Where's Moses?" And it had been a while, and then people get antsy and restless, and they had melted down some gold, and uh, uh, fashioned a golden calf, which they were worshiping then. Because Moses had been away a while. In the movie, it's not that long, but whatever. And that's one of the commandments, false idols, and Moses sees them worshiping this golden calf, and he gets mad and he throws the commandments down, and they shatter, and there's some retribution to be had amongst those who had turned away from God and were worshiping this golden calf, and were just, making with the orgies and all that stuff. And then so Moses had to go back and get a second set of tablets from
Oh,
God,
okay. 2
and
sets of
those
tablets.
were, because the first ones he threw down in anger when he saw them worshiping the golden calf, and then those are that second one are the ones that are in the Ark of the Covenant.
Mm, okay.
So if you find the Ark of the Covenant,
Oh,
then
so they should still be in there
you theoretically, yes.
if it
But
exists.
I believe it was, if there was an actual Ark of the Covenant, um, it was destroyed with the temple in 70 AD, I believe.
Do you think that there is an actual boat that is Noah's Ark?
Um, I know there was rumors of something that was found on Mount Ararat in Turkey or
Yeah,
something.
this Turkey, they got a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
cool, really old stuff
yeah.
there.
Well, I mean, it's close to the
Oh, it's
whole,
close to, the Godland?
yeah, to the Holy Land.
Oh, okay.
So,
That would make sense then.
it's just a little north, and east of, like, Jerusalem, and, Galilee and all that
Yeah, because all
stuff.
these shows, it's like, "We done covered this in Turkey." I'm like, "Everything's
Hmm.
in Turkey. I might have to go to Turkey."
And also the fact that if the earth was covered by water, then when when they first saw land, when the water started to recede, it would be, of course, the highest points, the mountains, and Mount Ararat, I believe, is where one of the rumored, you know, beaching of the ark took place. And I remember distinctly an In Search of episode with Leonard Nimoy from the 70s.
Yeah.
Is this Noah's Ark? And they'd have the bad actors, pretending to be Noah and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Have they, s named anything a miracle in a long period of time? Like, has it been a long time since the church has called
L
something a
like a
miracle?
verified
Yeah.
miracle. Yeah, I'm not up on that. Um, you
Seems
know
like it's been a long time.
yeah, well, yeah, what are the like when the image of Mary appears, or this and that. I don't know when the last verified miracle was, Or maybe it happens more often than you think, and it's just not big news anymore.
I always find it interesting, the ones where it's like there's like a painting of Mary or Jesus
Mhm.
crying blood.
Yes.
That's weird.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's wild stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Right. If it's true.
Right. Like
Um,
what is that for
yeah.
these people that see these things?
Yeah.
There
Well,
was when I was in Florida, there was a time for a while where there was a office building that was made of glass, a dark glass because of the hot sun in there. And there was an image of Mary, and that parking lot, I went one time just because it was fun. Then you go get your picture with the big Mary on the side of the building, just the reflection of the thing. But like people were
just because of the way the light was reflected, it just appeared
the
to
way
be.
the sun hit that side of this building and the dark glass.
Mhm.
It was the same way like you could see like a rainbow in oil in the street,
Sure, sure.
but it looked like if I said, "Hey, look at this, look at this Mary on the side," you'd be like, "Yeah, I could see that."
You could see it
Yeah.
with a little help.
Yeah, and I remember for a long time, people would just go hang out in that parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always been. I don't know if I've shared this with you. And saying it publicly on a podcast would probably ruin any chance of fun. But there's a little artesian well in Roosevelt Park. Do you know what those are? Artesian well. It's just where like water just bubbles up from an underground.
Okay. I know there used to be a place many years ago
Hmm.
where we would get water
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that was it because you weren't that far from Roosevelt where you grew
Yeah,
up,
no,
right?
yeah.
So, and there's signs this is not potable water, blah blah blah. So, but I do see people collecting water from there
Hmm.
for whatever reason. I don't know if it's got good minerals or people think it does. Anyway, so I always want to go and just put a crutch because I have some old crutches from some old injury and just put a crutch, not and then just see what happens. News 12 is
Right.
there, and then there's all this other stuff, just for fun, just to see what would happen.
Yeah,
But
a man walked up to this water with a crutch,
right,
walked
exactly.
away
Well, that's
without it.
that's all it would take. You know how people are.
Yeah.
So I've had that in my head for 20 years
Yeah.
to do that. I've obviously never done it, and then
Yeah.
perhaps I've ruined it now, but perhaps not.
Maybe one day when you retire, you'd be like, I'm gonna go
Uh,
up to that water well with the crutch
yeah,
and see what happens.
mhm, and the priest, friend, uh, did you ever ask him about
I
exorcisms?
did.
And
He told me he has been a part of an exorcism. That
yeah,
was
they
really
still
interesting.
happen. I know it's
Yeah,
not they don't like to talk about it.
correct. Right, they still happen.
Yeah, yeah, but you and more than you think.
Yeah. Yeah, he would humor me with all I'd ask him, all sorts of questions
But
about.
would he actually he sort of tight-lipped on the exorcism thing? Would beyond saying that they happen? Or would he describe, you know
He probably would've if I would've asked for more information. I don't recall if I'm sure I did, I don't remember,
Mhm.
but I just remember, yeah, I would talk to him about ghosts and exorcisms
As an
and
adult?
yeah, as an adult,
Mhm.
yeah, over drinks.
Ex
Priests enjoy a drink.
Of course, they're human beings.
Yeah, supposed to be like at a summer barbecue.
Yeah.
And I'd make sure got some time with the priest so I could ask my questions.
And absolutely, Gio was talking on the show today about do you think some of these cardinals are like, "Hey, maybe this is good." Absolutely, they are.
Yeah, the
They're
Cardinals,
people.
yeah, they wanna move up in the
Of
ranks as well.
course. And the Pope, talk about being a powerful figure in the world. That's a pretty powerful
Oh, yeah.
position. A lot of Catholics out there, and I don't know this, how much other branches of Christianity respect the Pope at all. I don't know if they do. They probably don't recognize him as their spiritual leader, but still, I think there are probably more Catholics than any other type of Christian. This is just an assumption on my part. I think I'm correct about that by a large margin. So that is a powerful individual in the world.
Yeah, I always, Pope John Paul II, right? He
Mhm.
was the main pope of my life I feel like of my lifetime, even
Mhm.
though maybe another pope has done more years, I just feel like when I was
Yes.
aware of pope activities, it was Pope John Paul
Right,
II.
and he was also is sort of in the political sphere because of the whole fall of the with the perestroika with Poland because he was Polish, and Lech Walesa. I don't know if you remember
I
that
do
name.
remember that name.
Yeah, he was this movement in Poland to sort of get out of the uh, away from the yoke of Russia over
Yeah,
them, and that the whole wall fell, and then so he was a big deal.
he was in the mix,
Yeah,
and they tried to shoot that pope,
yes, they
which is
did.
why we got the Pope
The
mobile
Pope
after that.
Mobile, and I used to collect pennants,
Mhm.
like the little team pennants.
Yeah.
I had, and this has been lost unfortunately due to floods in my basement. I had a pennant of Pope John Paul at Yankee Stadium,
Oh, live at
which
Yankee
was
Stadium.
that was like probably the coolest pennant I
That
had.
is cool.
Yeah.
I gotta look for that on eBay later.
Yeah,
See if they,
actually, yeah, see
wha
if it's I think I forget when he was at Yankee Stadium, and I think they did a pennant because it was a baseball
yeah, yeah.
stadium.
Yeah, that's cool. That I
Uh,
bet is very difficult to find now.
yeah. But, I mean, I'm sure they sold a ton,
That's true.
and I don't know if it was just one day
So did
or
someone get
not.
that for you or you went to
Yes.
Yankee
Yeah,
Stadium?
no, I did someone got it. Someone who went to go see the Pope,
That's
who
awesome.
who knew I liked pennants, got it.
I've seen the Yankees. I've seen Jay-Z, Eminem at the Yankee
Yeah,
Stadium, and I saw Pope John Paul II
yeah.
rock it out.
Mhm.
All right, Eddie, let's do the warm-up show. I did that
Uh,
with CeeLo.
yes, and now you teased the second topic, but we got very deep
Yeah,
into this, quantum computers.
quantum computing, which is
So
very confusing to
maybe,
me.
oh my gosh, I was trying to just even look because I kind of understand a little bit, but you try to get any layers of deep into that, it just not even quantum computing, but quantum theory.
Yeah.
It's it's so far above my head, like I can barely grasp even the basic concept.
Well, we will solve it for
Yes, we're
everyone
gonna solve
on
quantum
tomorrow's
computing,
podcast.
quantum entanglement,
Mhm.
spooky action at a distance,
That is
all
correct.
that stuff.
Soon.